Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching. Hello. And Chloe just had a bath yesterday, but now she's all, it was raining out, so now she looks tangled up. Well, at least they're not chasing each other around anymore. Or not hiding from him or her. From Gracie there. Wonder what she's doing right there. She must be eating something. We had them all sleep in the same sort of large crate. But it was cool. She hung out and kind of stayed on that little pillow over there most of the day. That was pretty good. Blue just rests all day. Yeah, it was so cool yesterday. I gave him, there was one of those little, you know, those chew stick things. He went and grabbed it and he just sat there and he chewed on it for like 3 hours straight. Just, he was like in a whole nother planet. And I was just like, wow, that's so cool. Awesome. All right, well, we didn't do a show yesterday, you guys, so we're a little bit behind. So if you guys are out there and you want to help support the channel tonight, we seem like every show we do now, there's just starts off really, really slow. So it'd be cool if we could, you know, get some movement on that front going on the show, because we've got, you know, the end of the month is coming up quick. Got 5 more days. So if you have the ability to, that'd be great. We cover all kinds of different cases over here. Of course, I'm not covering anything that people are interested in tonight, so we are probably only going to have like 100, maybe 200 people watching, at the very most. Because if you don't put, you know, the really popular case on, then you can just forget it. That's just the way it is these days. All right. Well, let's take a look at this report that came out. I mean, don't all get going at once here, you guys. All right, here we go. The so it says, since July 13th, 2024, the United States Secret Service has fielded a number of questions surrounding Thomas Crook's attempted assassination of former President of the United States, Republican presidential nominee for President of the United States, Donald Trump. This includes questions regarding the agency, organizational culture, executive oversight, operational leadership, and details regarding employee actions that might have contributed to the mission failure. The Secret Service Office of Professional Responsibility is conducting a mission assurance inquiry that will address these questions. A summary of that office's initial mission assurance report, which identifies potential causes for the July 13th mission failure, is provided below. It will be followed by a supplemental report that will provide recommendations for agency leadership. Even before the conclusion of the mission assurance inquiry, the agency made enhancements to the former President of the United States protection. It should also be noted that the Secret Service internal recommendations are separate from those that will result from external inquiries conducted by Congress. The independent review panel, convened by the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Homeland Security Office of the Inspector General. Hey, thanks, Shells 76 and Jessica Schubach. All right, command and control, state and local law enforcement partners. The Secret Service is the ultimate responsible party for the Secret Service planning at our protective venues. Although you wouldn't know that by listening to the leadership of the Secret Service blaming the local law enforcement at every chance they could get. Thank you, and Dunlop. Accordingly, ensuring that our state and local counterparts have a clear understanding of our operational requirements. So basically what you're saying is, you told them what to do, but you expected more from them, but you need to be more clear next time so that they don't screw up, right? I mean it's like passive-aggressively attacking them still. Let's see. Yeah, so accordingly, assuring that our state and local counterparts have a clear understanding of our operational requirements and function is key to mission success. Advanced team personnel have an obligation to ensure that state and local support from law enforcement in all capacities meets the protective requirements and principles of Secret Service methodologies. However, interviews of Secret Service personnel and partnering agencies revealed discrepancies in the understanding and expectations of how various elements. So what's it saying here? However, interviews of Secret Service personnel and the partnering agencies, meaning like local law enforcement, revealed discrepancies in the understanding and expectations of how various elements of the site security planning would be accomplished. So it's really, you just got to communicate. Well, I mean, we all know that the whole thing is, the communication was the joke. People sending text messages back and forth. Got 119. You have 146,800 subscribers, and I can only get 119. That's why I just make videos now. I get 30,000 views on videos and 119 people. I mean, that is just. But man, 119 are the best, though, I guess. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. No, 116, excuse me. The Secret Service does not ask our state and local law enforcement partners to support protective operations by operating beyond the scope of their expertise. That would not be prudent and would invite unintended consequences. For example, when executing a comprehensive security plan involving state or local tactical assets, such as a sniper team, the placement of those units is sometimes made in consultation with the local tactical units and is not a unilateral decision by Secret Service personnel. Conversely, the location or placement of state or local tactical assets must not be made without due consideration of Secret Service protection objectives or without dialogue between agencies. advanced team personnel, field office supervisors, and protective detail supervisors. A consistent theme gathered from state and local law enforcement personnel who helped secure the Butler rally was the presence of communications deficiencies. I mean, I was saying that from day one. These deficiencies included gaps in co-location of law enforcement resources to share information, the variety of radio frequencies, channels used, again, without the co-location of physical personnel to convey information. Like they would just stay there, they just send text messages. And the capability of agency personnel to clearly convey the Secret Service protective needs. Some local police entities supporting the Butler venue had no knowledge that there were two separate communication centers on site, the Secret Service Security Room and the Butler County Emergency Services Mobile Command Post. As a result, those entities were operating under a misimpression that the Secret Service was directly receiving their radio transmissions. Yeah, right. Let me go to, I think I can show that. Yeah, this place right here was the Butler County Command Center, and somewhere over in this area was the command center for the Secret Service. I mean, how stupid. Why not just have one command center? First of all, I mean, why would you have two? But apparently what would happen was these guys would pick something up and then would call these guys up, and if somebody answered the phone, oh yeah, there's a problem going on over here. Stupid. Let's see. Routinely, the Secret Service coordinates with state and local law enforcement entities in preparation. We're down here. Early in the protective visit advance process, the Secret Service invites all relevant law enforcement entities. Some local entities supporting the Butler venue had no knowledge, that there were two separate communication centers on site, i.e. the Secret Service Security Room and the Butler County Emergency Service Mobile Post. As a result, those entities were operating under misimpressions that Secret Service was directly receiving their radio transmissions. Routinely, the Secret Service coordinates with state and local law enforcement entities in preparation for protective visits. When those local enforcement agencies require additional assistance for the visit, they will often request mutual aid support from additional neighboring police entities to accomplish the mission. This mutual aid support may include additional officers to stand post, providing motorcade support, traffic control, personnel, tactical support, or other specialized assets. The Secret Service is sometimes given advance notice of its local partners' need to rely on mutual aid, but that is not always the case. Early in the protective visit advance process, so when they went there before the event, the Secret Service invites all relevant law enforcement entities to the initial police meeting. However, local jurisdictional requirements often change if the protectee's itinerary is modified. In the case of the Butler rally, several nearby local law enforcement entities were employed to provide mutual aid. In fact, the Secret Service advance team was not initially made aware at the time of the police meeting. So let's say, in the case of the Butler rally, several nearby local law enforcement entities were employed to provide mutual aid. Well, why wouldn't the Secret Service know that? In fact, the Secret Service advance team was not initially made aware at the time of the police meeting. It is not common practice for Secret Service to invite neighboring or nearby police departments to a police meeting merely for awareness. Well, I mean, you obviously needed them because you guys just blew Thank you, B. Sir. In connection with the Butler rally, one local police entity requested mutual aid support from another local department for tactical augmentation. Neither the Secret Services of Pittsburgh Field Office leadership nor anyone on the agency advance team were aware of this outreach for support. This led to a situation where the local tactical team operating on the second floor of the AGR building, a team that was providing mutual aid support, had no prior contact with Secret Service personnel before the rally. But that's just totally your fault. I mean, that building should be one of your main focus, and somebody on your team, Secret Service, should be out there trying to figure out what the hell's going on. This led to a situation where the local tactical team operating on the second floor of the AGR building, a team that was providing mutual aid support, had no prior contact with Secret Service personnel before the rally. So they didn't know what the hell they were supposed to be doing. Multiple law enforcement entities involved in securing the rally questioned the efficiency of that local sniper team's positioning in the AGR building. Yeah, because remember that one guy who was saying he was pissed off on the mic, and then it says, yet there was no follow-up discussion about modifying their position. There was also no discussion with Secret Service advanced personnel about positioning the team atop the AGR roof. Was there one? There was no discussion with Secret Service advanced personnel about positioning that team. Oh, yeah, like, hey, put them on the roof. Local sniper support were apparently not opposed to that location. But it was hot outside, right? The Secret Service works with any number of organizations to carry out its protective mission. For example, engagement with the protectee staff is a long-standing staple of our operations. It is crucial that the agency maintain a professional rapport with the staff advance team to obtain timely and accurate information as it relates to the protectee's schedules, public and private engagements, and other details that impact the agency's ability to provide a safe and secure environment for the protectee. There is constant negotiation and information sharing between the Secret Service and the protectee's respective staff as it relates to nearly every aspect of a protective visit. While negotiations with staff are given, the security of the protectee is undeniably the responsibility of the Secret Service. The staff selects the venues for the protectees to visit, and the Secret Service subsequently secures those venues. One of the primary considerations for an outdoor venue is minimizing the protectee's exposure to long-range threats, which usually come into play with those venues. There was some discussion regarding site selection. Well, here's something, by the way. Today, Trump's team was briefed by intelligence agencies about direct and immediate threats by Iran, or Iran, however the hell you want to say it. And so that, it's just, when you put in people like, that the last guy, the last shooter, and at the golf course, you just sort of wonder, man. He wrote that damn book that said, hey, Iran, you should do something, and then here he is with somehow he has money, he's flying, he's there for a month. I mean, what is he living on? And then he has a rifle that is sort of Soviet style. Those are the ones that Iranians use. Yeah, it just makes you wonder, man. I think there's a possibility that guy specifically, but hell, maybe even crooks. You never know. I'm not normally a conspiracy person, but when you just kind of look at that, that's weird, isn't it? It's weird that he just wrote a book where he's talking about that. And then here he is with a sort of Soviet-style weapon. And, you know, the Russians, and so they've always, AK-47s have been used over there a lot. That's not what that was. I think it was like SKS or something like that. But they, I mean, where did that gun come from? And it had a ground down serial number. Yeah, I mean, it's just weird, man. He has no money. He lives in Hawaii. Somehow he flew all the way over to North Carolina. And then he went into the area where Trump is for a month. And he was like watching and determining what he was doing. And then in that one message, you know, then in his book, he's told Iran, hey, you should do something, you know, take him out. And then in the letter he wrote, he was like, hey, you get 150,000. I'm not sure where he came up with that or how that would work. But that letter was only going to be visible if he'd been caught. So I'm not sure how the hell he would be giving, who's going to be paying the 150,000. I don't know. I just think it's kind of weird. But hey, you guys, we're having one of those dead nights. So if you're out there and you can help support the channel, I would appreciate it. Yesterday I just wasn't feeling it. I had to work on something for work, and it was just like, yeah, you know. And one of the things, reason is because I don't like always having to constantly say, hey, everybody, if you can help support the channel. You know, it's just sort of like a drain on me personally. So I wish you guys would just support the channel. You know what we do. You know what I do. And when you know, the whole asking part over and over again is sort of, I don't know, it just isn't fun. You know, I don't like it. You know, unfortunately, sometimes if you don't ask for a sale, you don't get one. But if you could just support the channel without me having to ask on a regular basis, I would appreciate it. And I've even said that multiple times as well. Anyways, let's see. Advanced personnel and multiple supervisors were with oversight of the security plan at the Butler Farm Show venue recognized line-of-sight concerns. However, the security measures to alleviate these concerns were not carried out on July 13, 2024, as intended. There was a lack of detailed knowledge of Secret Service personnel regarding the state or local law enforcement's presence that would be present in and around AGR complex. There was also a lack of knowledge regarding the specific footprint of resources that would buttress this secure area of the venue and separate it from the AGR complex, which was outside of the site's secure perimeter. The construction of the protected site, along with line of sight mitigation to address the vulnerabilities created by the open grounds of the AGR complex, should have been a key objective. Well, yeah, obviously, of the site advance. The lack of due diligence in site, I think like I said before, you know, I don't know, man, that's where you sort of get into the conspiracy realm, because you could think to yourself like, oh man, is this, I don't know, Nate, we're doing something else tonight. I don't know if you could tell. Let's see, what the hell was I talking about? Let's see, the construction of the, I don't know, you just look at the complacency overall, especially with the Trump detail. I mean, was that something, you know, that it makes you wonder. You know, because the administration currently is working, they are the ones that re-established that shitty deal they had with Iran. And they're not really tough on Iran. They're allowing them to support Hezbollah and Hamas. And then you sort of look at something like that. So you make this complacency where everybody's just, we've done this so much. Yeah, it's going to work. Don't worry about it. And then there's somebody out that's put into the field as a killer. And now they have an easier chance because of the complacency. Yeah. There was also a lack of knowledge regarding the specific footprints of resources that would buttress the secure area of the venue. Let's see, the construction of the protected site along with the line of sight mitigation to address the vulnerabilities created by the open grounds should have been key objective. The lack of due diligence in site construction was evident. Advanced personnel should have reported any discrepancies or lack clarity to detail and field office supervisors. Communication inconsistency. The different radio frequencies used at the Butler Farm Show venue were not conducive for quickly sharing real-time information. A central tenet of law enforcement operations is effective communications. The Secret Service employs this standard application in its protective advance procedures to maximize overlap in communications and to ensure a common operating platform for all law enforcement entities supporting a protective visit. You know, it's weird. We've said all these different things. I did hear about that one, though, Nate. We're just not talking about it right now, so I wouldn't know how to segue into that. I don't know if you could tell, but yeah, it's just, you know, another Democrat caught, you know. But I guess I have to say it again. If you're out there and you're able to help support the channel, I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Communication inconsistency. The different radio, yeah, we did that. The Secret Service employs this standard application in its protective advance. And we go, communication for a protected site is crucial. Similarly, multiple communication touch points maximize the likelihood of that consequential information will be shared in a timely fashion. There were multiple standard conduits of communication that were not in operation on July 13, 2024, which, if present, would have increased the probability of pertinent information or context being conveyed. People are just like, yeah, it'll work. The failure of personnel to broadcast via radio the description of the assailant or vital information received from local law enforcement regarding a suspicious individual on the roof of the AGR complex to all federal personnel at the Butler site inhibited the collective awareness of all Secret Service personnel. The failure was especially acute in terms of the former President of the United States potential detail who were not apprised of how focused state and local law enforcement were in the minutes leading up to the attack on locating the suspicious subject. So the Secret Service wasn't even aware, like, wow, they're really focused. If this information was passed over Secret Service radio frequencies, it would have allowed the former President of the United States protective detail to determine whether to move their protectee while the search for the suspicious suspect was in progress. But how come the guy that was running from the Butler County, he had it on his radio, he literally ran right behind Trump and he didn't say a goddamn thing? Vital information was transmitted via mobile cellular devices in staggered or fragmented fashion instead of being relayed via the Secret Service radio network. There have been numerous questions regarding the approval, denial, and decision-making process or specialized assets surrounding Trump's visit to Butler. Trump's visit to Butler was supported by Secret Service counter-sniper and counter-assault assets. These and other tactical assets are sometimes augmented by law enforcement partners. While the advance team from the local office and the protective detail were afforded sufficient notice to conduct an unabbreviated advance, the counter-sniper asset arrived later during the advance week. Having all members of the advance team present to engage local law enforcement counterparts, beginning with the initial formal police meetings and onward, provided more time and opportunities to begin nuanced conversations and planning. The former President of the United States Protected Detail provided a counter unmanned aerial system advanced agent, so they had a drone ready to go, for the visit to Butler. Due to the former president's schedule, which involved a steady cadence of outdoor events and activity, the potential detail prioritized this asset to counter drones and similar threats. But how come didn't they see Crooks flying the drone 200 yards away and want to go question him? There were some technical difficulties experienced by the advanced personnel with the system. It is possible that if the element of the advance had functioned properly, the shooter may have been detected as he flew his drone near the Butler Farm Show venue earlier in the day. All right. The Secret Service is proud organization with a critical mission. Well, I don't know why I can't see this in this report, but they were saying that he had to call and he couldn't get the drone to work. So there might be another report that's out there that I don't have. But he had to call ahead and he couldn't get the drone to work. So he was on hold for a while. So I don't know where that information's coming from, but this is the one that was put out on the Secret Service website. Maybe there's a different one. If anybody sees that, let me know. But it's going to be hard to read that given what's going on. It's just dead as a doornail. The Secret Service is a proud organization with a critical mission. While this pride resonates throughout the agency's workflow, the pride can lead to overextension in furtherance of carrying out that mission. Resources did not factor into this mission failure. Ever-increasing responsibilities place the agency in the unenviable position of having to stretch the workforce continually to satisfy a never-ending high operational tempo. The predisposition for Secret Service personnel to continually accomplish the mission despite obstacles is tangible. This dynamic becomes more relevant during a presidential campaign, where the addition of new protectees stretch on already busy organization. Concurrently, our existing protectees are steadily increasing their travel tempo. The site in Butler was chronologically inserted between two national special security events, our most staffing-intensive undertakings requiring a whole of enterprise approach to support with over a year of planning for each event. Yeah, so I don't know where there must be some other information that's out there, because they were pretty specific on different things. It was just briefly mentioned in here. Alright, I'm just going to go back in time here. It's more reading though, so I'm just almost not feeling it. Because when I'm reading, it's a catastrophe. Here we go. So this is state pathologist Dr. George Katzis said today a girl found dead yesterday in the Blue Hills Reservation. Let's see where that is. Hold on. Alright, anyways, let's see. Let me type. I was about to search for that. Blue Hills Reservation. So somewhere over in here. Hey, thanks, Bilbo. State pathologist Dr. George Katzis said today a girl found dead yesterday in the Blue Hills Reservation, Milton, was murdered. The victim was identified this morning by MDC Detective Sergeant Thomas White as Kathleen O'Gorman, 18, of Battles Farm Drive in Brockton. The cause of death has not been determined. Police said the girl was nude when was discovered by hikers off Brush Hill Road. Let's see where that is. Brush Hill Road. Okay. So it's not really right there. No, wait, I guess Brush Hill Road is over here. So maybe it was like right over. That's Blue Hill. Nah, that's not that one. Brush Hill. That comes all around like that. I guess back then, though, I mean, hell, what does it look like back in 1990 even? Yeah, it's hard to say. But anyways, just generally over here somewhere. Deep in the woods. Sergeant White said the victim was reported missing by her mother, Mrs. Lorraine O'Gorman, on July 3rd. 6 detectives are trying to retrace the girl's movements. Thank you. This account. Body identified as woman from Brockton. The nude body found over the weekend was identified yesterday as Kathleen Ann O'Gorman, 19, of Brockton. The body was discovered in a wooded area of the Blue Hills Reservation. She had been dead for 2 or 3 days, according to medical authorities. Her mother had reported her missing early this month when the girl did not appear for work at the South Shore National Bank in Quincy. Police said the identity of the girl was traced by a 1972 class ring from Brockton High School that she wore. Also found on the body were earrings and a watch. The cause of death is under investigation, but yesterday Fred Tudor of Norfolk County Medical Examiner said the death was probably a homicide with a blunt instrument. The family said memorial services will be held later this week. So this is 1972, July 11th. Then September 19th, 1972, like 2 months later. Funeral held for slain girl. Funeral services were held today for 19-year-old Deborah Ray Stevens. I couldn't find where they actually found her, but while police, aided by Department of Public Works personnel, pressed the search of the slain girl's clothing, the DPW employees, accompanied by Lieutenant Inspector John Hines, began a search of sewers and catch basins yesterday in the area where the body was discovered Friday. The 19-year-old, college student was clad in a body shirt, bra, and sweater when found at around 50 yards from Stevens' home. We can put that in there at 60 Brill Avenue. So that's over here. So her body was found somewhere around in this area. Or the body was. Which is actually a woman named Deborah Ray Stevens. I wonder if it's this one over here, though. That one almost seems better. It's crazy that you have that same weird name. I think that's going to be it. That one makes more sense. And this wooded area around it. Okay, there you go. The 19-year-old college student was clad in body shirt, bra, sweater when found 50 yards from the Stevens home at 60 Beryl Avenue. The search continued today for the remainder of her clothing. More than 100 friends and neighbors, classmates, and acquaintances of the strangled co-ed have been quizzed by police. Debbie's family mourns her as a joy to all. A kind of later-day Joan of Arc. That's the general impression the dispassionate listener gradually forms of Deborah Ray Stevens in talks with her family, friends, and colleagues. Possibly that's the vague feeling her killer had as well, with shadowy images in the twisted mind of martyrdom for the lovely young East Lynn student, and he snuffed out her life a week ago by strangling her. Debbie's body was found less than a block from her 60 Beryl Avenue home. In many facets of her much-admired character, Debbie Stevens bore more than a passionate resemblance to the heroic Maid of Orleans. Her deeds and words pointed up traits of fairness, courage, and yearning to help others. Gifted, loving, and intelligent, she apparently made brighter the world. So, I mean, these are all just young, pretty much like college-age students, most of them. BU co-ed slang linked to Lynn student's murder. Massachusetts and New Hampshire police are investigating the possibility of a link between the murders of Deborah Ray Stevens of Lynn and another Boston University co-ed whose badly decomposed body was found Sunday in a wooded area off Nashaw, New Hampshire, I guess. Of New Hampshire, I guess. The body of Kathleen Randall, 18, of Centerville, was discovered Sunday by 2 hunters in the woods just off Route 11A near the Massachusetts line. Let's see. Route. What did they say? It was near New Hampshire. What's over here, though? I don't know where it is. Okay, maybe that one. Oh, there's 11. Just go all the way down here. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, guess I won't be able to find that one. Identification was made through dental charts and a cameo ring found on the body of the BU freshman whose parents had reported her missing on September 19th, 3 days after the body of Miss Stevens was discovered a short distance from her Burrell Avenue home in East Lynn. According to BU records, the Randall girl. So we are on, this is the third person, but they're only linking 2 at this point. Miss Stevens had been a resident at the dormitory. So this is, now we're talking about Stevens, but Randall's another victim. According to BU records, the Randall girl had been staying at West Campus 2, a dormitory at 275 Babcock Street. Okay, that's the dorm. Thanks, Michelle. And then it says Miss Stevens had been a resident at the same dormitory until last June and had been commuting to class from her Lynn home during the summer. Police said there was no evidence to indicate that the 2 girls might have become acquainted during the first weeks of the school season, but that this possibility will be further checked out in questioning of girls living at the dormitory. The parents of the Randall girl, Dr. and Mrs. Alan D. Randall, hired retired State Police Lieutenant John Regan to probe their daughter's whereabouts shortly after she was reported missing. Regan said this morning that the Randall girl was a... Let me see. If it doesn't go right there, I'll just move on. Was a murder victim, but New Hampshire authorities would not disclose the cause of death. New Hampshire Attorney General Warren B. Redmond said, "We have a dead girl here and a high degree of possibility of homicide. The Randall girl had been missing for 1 week when she was reported missing on September 19th. think I did that one. Did I do this one? Yeah, people are looking at the same, the coincidence. The police are. Alright, I'll have to say it again. Hey everybody, if you're out there and you have the ability to, I really need your guys' support on the channel. We are heading into the end of the month, and if you have the ability to, I didn't do a show last night, so hopefully you can help support the channel tonight. Thank you very much. Kathleen and Randall. Now we're on to Randall here. This is when she was missing. That's her right there. I never even heard of this. This one. At first I thought it was talking about the Boston Strangler, but that was Strangler. That was back in the 60s. Yeah. Co-ed missing since September 13th. Ex-police sleuth aids search. A former state police investigator regarded as one of the Commonwealth's top detectives until his retirement a few years ago, has been retained by the father of missing Boston University co-ed Kathleen Ann Randall to assist Boston and state police detectives probing her disappearance. Miss Randall's father, Dr. Alan D. Randall of Sachem Drive, Centerville, said retired Detective Lieutenant John Reagan of Farmingham was joining the investigation immediately. However, Dr. Randall, an anesthesiologist, well, that's why he has the money to do that, at Cape Cod Hospital said he was not holding out any hope that Kathleen will be found alive. Yeah, I think we already did that one, M22. The 18-year-old BU freshman vanished from the Commonwealth Avenue campus on the morning of September 13th after parting company with another student who had accompanied her to classes. Authorities said Kathleen and the other student left their Babcock Street dormitory in good spirits. Kathleen was wearing blue jeans and a white peasant blouse and a green corduroy coat, and was carrying blue rain gear over her arm because of drizzly weather, they said. She wore a wide gold ring on her right hand and a cameo ring on her left hand, they added. 6 days later, on September 19th, Kathleen's roommate notified BU Assistant Dean Karen Wiggs that Kathleen had not been seen for a week. Campus police began an investigation and notified the Randall family and Boston police. Dr. Randall, who has 4 other children, said yesterday he believes that Kathleen was a victim of foul play. He said that while she was home, she never went away for more than half a day without notifying her parents. Kathleen not only failed to call home after September 13th, he said, but she also did not come home as expected on the weekend of the 16th and missed a date with a friend to attend a rock concert. Dr. Randall said he and his wife also suspect foul play because Kathleen did not take any of her clothes with her at the time of her disappearance and left her retainer and orthodontic device for straightening teeth in her room. Hey, thanks, Bilbo. I'm not sure what's going on. Currently, we are at 20% of a normal low, the new low goal for the night. The Randall family came to Centerville 4 years ago from Columbus, Ohio. Dr. Randall said Kathleen was employed as a lifeguard at the Barnstable Public Beach last summer. That was September 24th. And then the body of a girl found in woods Sunday afternoon has been identified as that of Kathleen Ann Randall, 18, of Centerville. The Boston University freshman had been missing since September 14th. The badly decomposed body was found by hunters some 200 yards into the woods from New Hampshire Route 111 near the Massachusetts state line. Identification was made by the girl's parents, so it's 111, not... Identification was made by the girl's parents, Dr. and Mrs. Alan D. Randall. Attorney General Warren D. Redmond said that since the discovery of the body, several parents of missing girls had viewed the remains to see if the body was that of their daughter. I bet those people didn't even have daughters. They were just there because they wanted to see. The cause of death remains unknown, and investigation into the case is continuing, Nassau police said today. Police probe coincidence in murders. Coincidence which has to be checked out, but no definite connections at the time between the murders of Deborah Ray Stevens here September 16th and the discovery of a second Boston University co-ed's body in Nashua, New Hampshire, Sunday, is the way Lieutenant Inspector Joseph L. Haggerty described the situation today. Both had lived in the West Campus 2 dormitory. Well, I mean, that's, you know, you can't have that. That's not going to be a coincidence, all right? All right, then we move on to this one. I think this is the right one. Yeah. New Jersey girl, 19, found dead in Roxbury. A 19-year-old sophomore at Emerson College who was reported missing from her apartment was found yesterday strangled and stabbed to death in an abandoned building at 132 Seaver Street. Maybe it's somewhere right around. Is there another? No. Maybe somewhere down in this area.
Chewbacca? I'll do Chewbacca if you want me to.
Man, it was pouring here today. You could probably have taken a shower out there. Thanks, Candalee Woodward Stone. Haven't seen you in a while. I always like saying that name. So anyways, so that's where she was found. Ellen Ann Reich of Hackensack, New Jersey, was reported missing Sunday by her brother, Dr. Paul R. Reich of Wellesley. He told the Boston Police Missing Persons Bureau she had not been seen for several days at her 5th floor apartment at 31 Massachusetts Avenue. Let's see how close that is. 31. So she lived here. He told the Boston Police Missing Persons Bureau she had not been seen for several days at her 5th floor apartment at 31 Massachusetts Avenue. Back Bay? Let me type that in. Is that something different? No, that's the same thing. In many facets of her... Where were we at here? Is this the same? No, it's the same. How did we get onto that? Oh, right here. Yesterday, according to police, a former tenant and friends were roaming through apartments at 132 Seaver Street when they noticed a closet that had been nailed shut. Oh, Jesus. I mean, it's like, that's right out of a horror movie. Curious because the building was abandoned by the last tenants about 3 weeks ago. They removed the nails from the door and found the girl's body fully clothed lying on the floor. Jesus. According to Detective Lieutenant Edward Sherry, chief of the Boston Police Homicide Squad, the girl had been stabbed several times. Sherry said an initial medical examination showed Miss Reich had also been strangled. A full autopsy had not been completed, and it is not known whether Miss Reich was sexually assaulted. However, Sherry said there were no bruises and no evidence of struggle from the preliminary investigation. He said the people who found the body, who police refused to identify, were not suspects at this time. They were accompanying a former tenant who had returned to collect additional clothes and personnel property left behind when the building was vacated. Ms. Reich shared her apartment with Eileen Wax, an Emerson student from Staten Island, New York. When her roommate did not return home Thursday night, Ms. Wax became alarmed but waited until Friday night to contact Ms. Reich's sister in New Jersey and her brother in Wellesley. Let's see. Eileen told police Miss Reich was an English major at Emerson with an avid interest in politics. She had recently worked for Barney Frank. Wow, I remember him. He was like around during the Obama times. That guy was a whack job, man. Jesus. Barney Frank, he was this total scandalous person. According to Sherry, Miss Reich was last seen hitchhiking to class at the intersection of Marlborough Street and Massachusetts Avenue. Where's that? Hitchhiking, man, that's the problem. Oh, that's right where she lives. So she was just hitchhiking right outside her house. Sherry said Miss Reich and her roommate frequently tried to hitch a ride to Emerson College located on Beacon Street. Sherry yesterday asked for assistance from anyone who might have seen the girl. The investigation is being handled by Homicide Lieutenant Detective Arthur Kelly and Detective Sergeant Matthew King of District 2. Miss Reich's roommate last night described her as a lovely and very popular girl. She said she had hoped to become a lawyer and had an avid interest in dancing. She dated frequently but had no steady boyfriend. Miss Reich, the youngest in her family, had one sister and three brothers. She graduated from Hackensack High School in 1971. And there she is. Yeah, now they're even further into the links here. You see this? Police seeking links in 3 students' murders. Possible links between the murder of 18-year-old Ellen Reich and the unsolved slayings of 2 other girl college students in Boston in September were being sought by homicide detectives today. The body of Miss Reich, an Emerson College sophomore who lived in River Edge, New Jersey, was found Monday nailed in a closet in an abandoned building. She vanished last Thursday, apparently while thumbing a ride to Emerson. Another student had told police of seeing the girl about 11:30 that day hitchhiking on the corner of Marlborough Street and Massachusetts Avenue. Miss Reich was living at 31 Massachusetts Avenue. She and her roommate, Eileen Wax, 19, of Staten Island, New York, customarily hitched rides from their apartment to Emerson. She was found in a 4th-floor closet by a former tenant of the building who returned with friends to pick up some belongings. Seems weird that you still have stuff in a building that was demolished. I mean, not demolished, but abandoned. She was fully clothed. In their hunt for clues, detectives are rechecking the cases of Kathleen Randall and Deborah Ray Stevens. Miss Randall vanished from her BU campus on September 13th. Her body was found October 5th. Miss Stevens was stabbed to death September 15th, a short distance from her Lynn home. Police also are reviewing 241 reported rapes and attempted rapes this year in Boston in seeking a common denominator that might provide information on the Reich case. And this one's just like hitchhiking scene common thread. Detectives investigating the slaying of an Emerson College co-ed whose body was found in a nailed-up closet of an abandoned house in Roxbury say they can't rule out the possible connection with 3 other co-ed slayings. We have no suspects. The body of Ellen Ann Reich, 19, daughter of River Edge, New Jersey druggist, was found Monday, and apparently all of these girls hitchhiked. And here's another one. BU co-ed reported missing. A Boston University, this is now we're December 1st, 1972. The last one we just did was in the November time frame. The one before that was October. The one before that was September. And the one before that was July. So it's pretty crazy. It's like he's picking up pace a little bit. The door of the closet she was found in was nailed shut. We already went over that. BU co-ed reported missing. A Boston University co-ed vanished Wednesday night after leaving her Cambridge apartment to go to Boston, and her brother said today he fears for her safety. The missing girl is Dearis Singh Gillespie, 22, of Bedford, New York, an attractive blue-eyed blonde who had been living with 3 other co-eds at 22 Peters Street. And by the way, if you guys are out there and you can help support the channel, that'd be great. These are, I know we're covering something that's not the popular stuff, but if you want me to be able to continue to do these stuff, it has to be consistent. Or you're sort of relegating me to doing only, like Madeline Soto over and over and over and over again, or any other big case over and over and over again, because the support drops off dramatically whenever we're covering something differently or anything different. Even the videos, if you make a video that's really interesting, you could be the greatest video ever made, but if it isn't one of the big cases, they'll get like 1,000 views and it fades off into oblivion. So what I'm asking is for you guys to make sure you're supporting this channel even when we're not doing the really popular neato stuff. Missing girl is, so we just found out where she lived right there. Her brother, Stephen, hey, thanks, Prissy Pacheco. We're currently, where are we at? Whatever 6 over 20 is. What is that, 30%? Don't know. I'm just going through the case, Anne. You'll get all the answers if you just hang in there. The missing girl in Dearis Gillespie, 22, of Bedford, New York, an attractive blue-eyed blonde who had been living with 3 other co-eds at 22 Peter Street. Her brother, Stephen, of Washington, D.C., said she was last seen about 7 p.m. Wednesday when she left for her job as a waitress at the Jazz Workshop on Boylston Street, Back Bay. Now, that Back Bay thing is... We just heard that a minute ago, right? Wasn't that this one? Like kind of over in this area? He said he was late for work and she was late for work and may have hitchhiked to the streetcar on Massachusetts Avenue to save time. It's about a 10-minute walk from the apartment. Gillespie said her sister apparently had no identification with her and no money except change since she left her wallet in the apartment. He said she was a very dependable person and would not have missed work without notifying her employer. Police were notified the next day of her disappearance, Gillespie said. He came here to aid in the search. The missing girl has a sister living in Cambridge. Yep, so she's missing. That's her right there. Was Bedford girl strangled? So that first one was December 1st. Now this is December 4th. Is Damaris Singe Gillespie of Bedford the fifth victim of the new Boston Strangler? Cambridge police say the 22-year-old blonde Boston University honor student had been missing since Wednesday evening when she left her apartment to work at her part-time job at a Boston Back Bay discotheque, the Jazz Workshop. A police spokesman said Miss Gillespie, described as a very reliable worker by her employer, fits the general description of 4 other young women, aged between 18 and 22, who have been found murdered after they tried to hitchhike rides. A detective told the Westchester Rockland newspaper that a missing person alarm has been teletyped across the country, and police detectives in Brockton, Boston, and other Massachusetts police departments are working on the case. But he said Cambridge is a university town and kids are always dropping out for a week or two to go skiing or what have you. At this point, we've got leads we're trying to track down. We've had hundreds of phone calls. There's always a lot of interest in this sort of disappearance. According to the Boston Globe, the woman left her apartment at 22 Peter Street in Cambridge at 6:30 p.m. Last Wednesday. She lived in a 6-unit house and shared her apartment with 3 other Boston University students, but not in a communal living style, one neighbor said. Miss Gillespie then stopped at the doorstep, met a friend, and reportedly remarked that there was a car across the street and perhaps she could get a lift to her job. She was due to start her thrice nightly waitress job at 7:30 p.m. Friends of the missing Westchester woman theorized that she eventually hitched a ride but never made it to her job at the college hangout on Boylston Street in Boston, about a half-hour ride from the Cambridge apartment. The parents of the missing woman have temporarily moved into a Boston hotel and have set up a telephone number for information to aid in the police search. Thank you, Lisa Valenzuela. Appreciate it. Thank you. Another co-ed feared hub hitchhike victim. So they're still just trying to... That's kind of similar to the last article. Then December 5th. How 4 co-eds died. Police call unsolved the first 4 murders of what may be a new Boston Strangler. They're sort of forgetting about that first one in July. All 4 were strangled, police say, and one was also stabbed. Coroners established rape in the cases of 2 of them. All 4 women were slain since colleges opened in the Boston area in September. All 4 were white, middle class, and attractive. 3 were known to get about by hitchhiking. There was Deborah Ray Stevens, 19, a Boston University junior, who was driving her sister. I think they're missing Kathleen O'Gorman. Maybe, I don't know if they count her, but I think that's one. Let's see. There was Deborah Ray Stevens, 19, of Boston University, who was driving her sister's car September 15th, the night the car was found abandoned 2 blocks from the Stevens Lynn's home. Oh, I didn't realize that. After her body was found in Lynn, Massachusetts, the coroner determined that she'd been raped. Kathleen A. Randall, 18, of Centerville, Massachusetts, a Boston University freshman, was last seen alive September 13th when she left a biology class, apparently headed for another classroom building 100 yards away. Wow. Now, how did she get... Man, that's crazy. Her body was not found immediately, and that's crazy. So she was in a class and then just didn't make it to another class? The stabbed and strangled body of Ellen A. Reich, 19, of an Emerson College sophomore, was not found immediately either, police say. The day she died, November 9th, she had left her Back Bay apartment in Boston, and friends said she planned to hitchhike to Emerson College a few blocks away. Her body was discovered nailed shut in a closet in a vacant building in Boston, Roxbury section. The most recent victim to be found, Sandra A. Aramjian, 21, of East Meadow, Long Island, a Cambridge taxi cab driver, left her apartment a week ago to thumb a ride to her parents' Long Island home. Her body was found strangled and raped in a Broxton Park Thursday. So this is one where we're not even on yet. Meanwhile, the family of a Bedford girl, Dearis, Singh, Gillespie, 22, are waiting anxiously in Boston for word from their daughter. She was last seen Wednesday evening in Cambridge when she told her Boston University roommate she was going to hitchhike to her job in a downtown Boston restaurant. And then talks about this victimology stuff. Dearis Singh Gillespie, daughter of Mr. Dearis Lee Gillespie of Hook Road, who has been missing from her Cambridge, Massachusetts apartment since Wednesday, was described by family friends today as a straight girl, not into drugs or anything like that. It is feared that Singh Gillespie may be a victim of the new Boston Strangler. She is a very responsible, kind of girl, said Mrs. Frank Gunnell of Bedford, a business associate of Miss Gillespie. She has an independence, of course. She's 22, but she would always let anyone know if she intended to be away for a while. The Boston University co-ed, known to her friends by her middle name, Singh, or I guess it's Singh, is described as about 5 feet 2, 120 pounds, with ash blonde hair and blue eyes. She's very athletic, very natural, and just a great all-around girl. She was admittedly in the habit of hitchhiking, said the family friend, but the recent deaths of 3 Boston area co-eds has caused Singh and her roomie, known to Miss Gunnell only as Kathy, to make a safety agreement. Wow, so she was actually protecting herself against the very person. She told her roommate that she was late for work at her job at Jazz Workshop in Boston, and then she would have to hitchhike instead of taking the subway as usual. She was in a hurry. She did not even take her wallet, Miss Gunnell recounted today. Yeah, let's see. I'm just going to skip it forward here. Co-ed found strangled. Now this is February 5th, so she wasn't found for like 2 months, really. The body of Dearis Singh Gillespie, the 22-year-old Boston University honor student from Bedford, missing since November 29th, was found dead Saturday in a wooded area near Boston. 2 10-year-old boys found the unclothed body of the girl who had been the subject of a wide search by police on her Bedford and her Bedford family since her disappearance. She was reported missing November 29th when she failed to show up at a cocktail waitress job she held. An official autopsy report has not been released, but police say strangulation may have been the cause of her death. A prime suspect, whom police would not identify, is being held in the case. The body was found unclothed, lying on snow about 30 feet from a seldom used dirt road in the town of Billerica, about 20 miles from downtown Cambridge, where the student was last seen by friends. The only clothing found, according to Billerica Chief of Police Joseph Ryan, was a brassiere around the woman's neck. Authorities refused to speculate whether it had been used to strangle the victim. Well, of course. Middlesex County Medical Examiner Dr. John Kermbounziak said he believed Miss Gillespie had been dead a long time, almost from the time of her disappearance. He said he did not think that she was killed where the body was found. The medical examiner said the cold weather and snow had helped preserve the body. The nearest house to where the body was about 500 yards away through thick woods, according to Chief Ryan. Positive identification was made by fingerprints and confirmed by Miss Gillespie's brother-in-law, John Fairhouse, a resident of Boston area. According to police, an autopsy was conducted. A report will be released. It won't be released until Tuesday. The suspect is also being linked by Cambridge police to the death of a teacher at about the same time as Miss Gillespie's disappearance. The area where Miss Gillespie's body was found was described as a Boston suburb of middle and above middle income homes. Miss Gillespie was last seen by a friend November 29th as she left her apartment for work. She reportedly told her friend she was late. Yeah. Well, there you go. That's that one. And then here's the one that was just mentioned a minute ago. That was the one. This is probably the nurse, maybe. Yeah, this one says the body of an unidentified woman believed to be around 27 years old was found today in D.W. Field Park near the Avon line. First reports indicate foul play. Police said her face and one wrist was badly bruised. A resident of the area, William Parker, while walking through the park, observed the body shortly after 10 a.m. and notified Brockton police. Medical examiner Dr. Pierce H. Levitt was called to the scene by detectives, and he will perform an autopsy. Detective roped off the area where the body was found so that no clue might be disturbed. No clues. Okay, that says police said the woman had brown hair with streaks of gray, brown eyes, and olive complexion. There was a report that the woman had been assaulted before she was dumped in the park. The body was found face down with back partly uncovered near the waist. All right, I know we're doing the reading stuff and we're doing this other case, but if you're out there and you can help support the channel, that would be great. We are currently at 33%. Dead girl identified by photo. 2 Northampton men, after seeing the Associated Press wire photo of a young woman found dead in a Brockton Community Park last week, identified her and contacted Northampton, Massachusetts State Police Saturday morning. Mike Ryan of 218 North Street and Skip Pichette of Kingsley Avenue reported they saw a photo in Saturday's Union and recognized it as Sandra J. Ramajan, a girl who had been renting an upstairs apartment of Ryan's house last winter. Ryan said his wife Judy had noticed the picture in the paper and brought it to his attention. According to Ryan, Miss Ramajan had moved out of the apartment at the end of May. She occasionally worked as a maid and had several part-time jobs in Northampton. Ryan said he believed she had taken courses at the University of Massachusetts. She was a real gregarious girl, very friendly, perhaps too trusting, Ryan said. She did a lot of hitchhiking, he said. Miss Emma Rajan, a 21-year-old girl who had been working in the Boston area as a taxi driver, that's what it was, taxi driver, was said to have been strangled and sexually attacked. The partially clothed body was discovered Tuesday by a man walking through the large VFW field park. Thanks, Rachel B. Well, I have to go out and find all these things related to each victim.
I love the reading stuff, and I'm from Boston, makes it extra interesting.
Well, thanks, Rachel B. You know, took me like hours to get all these, find all the different elements of this, but oh well. What is this right here? The girl's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Aramajan, flew to Brockton Saturday and made the positive identification. Thanks, M10.
Chewbacca? I'll do some back if you want me to.
So is this that one? Okay, this one ends just right here. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the picture that was in the paper. Pretty creepy, right? I mean, she's dead in that picture there. But I think that's what they should always do. If you have somebody that is, you know, their face looks normal. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're dead or not. Put the picture in the paper if you want to identify the person. I mean, hell, I think I don't know. It feels like if they'd done more of that back in the day, in some of these cases, even ones that we've done, they might have got an identification. I know, we know that. We know that, you know, they exist. I said that earlier, that it was in the 60s. This is a different person. Identification, slaying victim. Police released this photo of a young woman who was found slain in a Brockton park. She had been assaulted and strangled. Friends saw the picture and identified the girl as Sandra J. Ramajan, 21, of East Meadow, New York. And then here we go. This is the body of a young woman was found Sunday under a bed in a Cambridge apartment where her parents had gone with police to make a search. Oh, Jesus. She was identified as Ruth A. Hamilton, 23, an art teacher in Winthrop Schools. Her parents are Mr. and Mrs. Philip Hamilton of Weston. He is the president of the Denison Manufacturing Company. The parents told police that Ruth was expected at her Weston home Saturday in time for dinner and was to spend the Christmas weekend there. This is December 25th, actually, this article. When she failed to appear, the parents had another daughter, Jane, 25, and another daughter, Jane, 25, went to the apartment looking for her. They said they spent an hour there. The parents returned to the apartment Sunday morning with Cambridge detectives, who made a more thorough search. The body, clad only in a bra and panties, was under a bed. Oh, Jesus. So that means when the family was there for that whole hour, she was actually dead in that house. Police said they found no visible marks, which could be caused by knife, gun, or bludgeon of the body. The body was taken to the funeral home, and an autopsy was ordered. Police said Miss Hamilton had a roommate who had gone to Puerto Rico for the Christmas weekend. I mean, how is this person knowing all this shit? An autopsy on the body of a young woman found under a bed in her apartment here Sunday was released. Unexplained small marks, but medical examiners will not identify the cause of death until additional chemical test results are available. The body of Ruth A. Hamilton, 23, an art teacher in Walthrop Schools, was discovered by her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Philip Hamilton, when they went to her apartment after she failed to appear at their home. Hamilton was the chairman. We already went through that stuff. Okay. Well, that's... God. Could you imagine? For those of you who have kids in college, you would actually go over there and... Like, you might go to... look for your daughter and they're in the house under a bed while you were there the first time. Not really a place you'd think of looking, you know. You're not looking for your daughter under a bed. You're just... Plus, would you really want to look under a bed? Dorchester man. And now, this is 1970... Yeah, so we just went through 7 people. So this is 1973 February. So this is only like 10 days after Gillespie's body was found. And I'm wondering if the car that was outside, remember how in that case there was a car, she goes, "Oh, maybe I'll ask them for a ride." And maybe that's how this all got broke. I don't know. Anthony Jackson has been accused of the slaying and kidnapping of Dearis. Well, there it is, Singh Gillespie, 23. Jackson of the Dorchester section of Boston was being held in the Middlesex County House of Correction, about a mile and a half from the wooded area where 2 young boys found Miss Gillespie's frozen body on February 3rd. She had disappeared November 29th after leaving her Cambridge apartment to go to the Boston nightclub where she worked as a waitress. Jackson was held on $150,000 bail for unrelated charges. Man, that's huge for 1973. That's probably like almost $1 million at this point. Miss Gillespie, originally Bedford Hills, New York, was one of 7 young women slain in the Boston area in a 7-month period since last summer. And there he is right there, Anthony Jackson. I've never even heard of this guy. Have you guys? The 30-year-old Cambridge man who had been incarcerated for more than 1.5 months was indicted today for the killing of Dearis Singh Gillespie, one of 6 Boston area women whose recent murders have been under intensive police investigation. The Middlesex County grand jury returned indictments alleging first-degree murder and kidnapping against Anthony J. Jackson, also known as Wayne Eubank, after it heard testimony from 8 witnesses. The presentation of evidence by Brian McMenamin, an assistant to District Attorney John J. Droney, took about 90 minutes. The indictment alleged that Jackson, between November 29, 1972, the day the 22-year-old Boston University co-ed disappeared, on her way to a part-time job in Boston, and February 3, 1973, the day her nude and decomposed body was found in the woods in Billerica, kidnapped and killed her. Yeah. I wonder how long, like if he'd kept any of these women for any amount of time. Stating only that the indictment has been issued, D.A. Droney said that neither he nor any member of the staff would comment further on Jackson or the case. And by the way, in one of those women, one of the girls that were killed, some 16-year-old girl called to get a ransom, and she just did it to try to get money. It was just ridiculous. So there were still idiot young people back then too. An indictment is not a guilty verdict. Sure. Okay. February 16. Dorchester man arraigned in Gillespie slang. Anthony Jackson, 34, of Wilder Street, Dorchester, was held without bail at his arraignment yesterday in Middlesex Superior Court on charges of first-degree murder and kidnapping of a Boston University student. The case was continued to a date to be announced later by Judge George P. Ponte. Miss Gillespie's body was found in Billerica Woods on February 3rd. She had been sexually assaulted and strangled. Police hold suspect in girl's murder. This is well, let's see. Oh, this is even before that. I wonder if that's him. So there's a suspect that was already held in this one. So this is January 8th. I had it misdated there. This one's January 8th here. This is before that, but they just mentioned that they have somebody held. Last night say they believe the suspect may be responsible for the disappearance, so that must be the same person. So that's interesting. Wow, that's crazy. So they had him held from on January 8th of 73, but her body wasn't even found until February 5th. So they already had this guy arrested, knowing that he was likely responsible. That's pretty interesting. Because this article is a month before he was even, her body was found. That's crazy. All right. And this one is March 12th. Inmate indicted in murder of second woman. Anthony Jackson, 33, of Dorchester, an inmate at the Billerica House of Correction today, was indicted by a Middlesex grand jury for the murder of Ruth Hamilton of Cambridge, 23, a school teacher in Winthrop. Jackson, already under indictment for the murder of another young girl, Dearis Singh Gillespie, was charged in addition to murder with rape, kidnap, and robbery. Miss Hamilton was found under a bed in her roommate's apartment on Langdon Street, Cambridge, a few days before. Wow. So they got him on that one. And then what's the March 21st? So he pleads innocent, of course. You know, like Brian Koberger. And this is April 13th. A Suffolk County grand jury indicted a Dorchester man yesterday for the murder of Ellen Reich. So that's another one. The grand jury returned the murder indictment against Anthony Jackson, 33 years old, who had been separately indicted for the murder of Miss Dearis Singh Gillespie, 21, a former Bedford Hills, New York resident and a Boston University honor student, Miss Ruth A. Hamilton. The body of Miss Reich, 19, an Emerson College student, was exhumed last week from a Paramus cemetery on a request by the Massachusetts Attorney General. I wonder if they were checking semen. You know, they probably didn't have, you know, obviously they didn't do DNA back then, but they might be able to test other things. Pretty crazy, you guys. So there you go. That was one I just randomly stumbled upon by looking up keywords, and I found that, and then I eventually had enough stuff to look something up. And well, he was convicted. He's, you know, he's in prison. But that's a serial killer I'd never heard of before at all. In fact, I thought I was doing the Boston Strangler, but Yeah, it was pretty creepy. Just all college students right around the same place. Yeah, there might be others. I don't know. So I think I'm gonna go work on some work stuff, but thought I'd come on, give it a shot. So thanks to Shells76, Jessica Schubach, Ann Dunlop, B. Sir, Bilbo, This Account, Michelle H. Bilbo, Candalee Woodward Stone, Prissy Pacheco, Lisa Valenzuela, Rachel B. and M10. All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Been having to write this big long code using like this API and trying to get looping through. You know, it's pretty crazy. I've been using the Chat GPT though to sort of assist me. That shit's amazing, man. You can actually paste. Yeah, that's just wild. You can actually paste in code that you've already written and it'll tell you what it does. But hey, here's a better way to do it. It's wild. Anyways, thanks everybody. We'll see you guys later. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, like rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. I'm gonna get ya on a stretcher. If you try and play me like an old projector, crime sector is my nectar. Professor Reich is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a smoker with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temple fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody?
Just flipping it over there. God, it's almost like he's going to go poop. Oh, I think he's waiting for something to eat or something. There he is. All right, anyway, see you guys.